Alright, welcome to my presentation called The Big Guys versus the Small Guys, relating to the movie Beer Wars. Here's my presentation layout. First of all, I'm going to talk to you guys about the movie Beer Wars if you haven't seen it already, and the main topics in the movie and how they tie into what we are seeing into management right now. Give you guys some quick information about the big guys and the small guys and the differences they have with their managing relating to leadership and control. So they both have a different approach, and I believe this is what differentiates them in being the biggest or keeping it small, and also a quick conclusion. So, what are Beer Wars? What is the movie Beer Wars? Well, the movie Beer Wars is a 2009 movie produced by Annette Barron, and the movie showcases the bigger brewing companies and showcases as well the smaller brewing companies and how they are struggling in competing with the bigger companies, and just this big debate of ethic and unethical decision making, and what the bigger companies are doing to keep the smaller companies from getting bigger, and what the smaller companies are trying to do to become bigger and compete with them, because beer is a very competitive market. So the big guys, the large corporations, the big beer companies, obviously everybody knows Anheuser-Busch. In 2005, they owned 49% of the beer market, which is ridiculous. In 1965, they started off with 12%, so that is very, very rapid and large growth. Just thinking about the billions of dollars in revenue they have from beer alone. Then you have Miller and Coors, which are still considered as the big guys, but are much smaller than Anheuser-Busch. Miller with 18% and Coors with 11%. These three big companies together total 78% of the beer market. On the other side, you have the small guys, which make up only 22% of the market. In the movie, we can see the company Dogfish Head Brewery, which seems to be a pretty big company. They're very well installed, over 100,000 barrels a year, but they are only 0.002% of the total beer market. So this kind of makes think how many brewing companies that are small it takes to make up 22% when it only takes 3 companies to make up the other 78%, just to give you guys an idea of the different sizes of these two companies. So, leadership. So what are the big guys doing to stay on top in terms of leadership? So there's this idea of managing versus leadership. I tend to believe that the bigger companies are using more of a managerial approach more than leadership. This idea comes into how can we do what we are doing already and doing it better. So they're already doing things amazingly. In 2005 with 49% market share. They're wanting to grow. They want what they're doing very well. They want to do it even better, which is ridiculous, but that's the approach that they're having. And it's the leaders of the company that make the big guys, and it takes that kind of form of leadership to bring a company from point A to point B and make them grow. In the movie, we can see that the leaders are somewhat corrupt. We were noticed that they would give cases of beers and tickets to different shows to distributors and wholesalers, and trying to get them to buy their beer, more shelving space. And this kind of ties into the unethical charisma, corrupt leaders. Unethical charisma really is like doing what's best for the company, not really thinking about others. And that's exactly what Anheuser-Busch, Miller, Coors, that's exactly what they're doing. But this is because they're in this cutthroat competition. Everybody wants to have that extra percent of market shares, because 1% in the market share is millions and millions and millions of dollars. And that's kind of the direction they're taking, and tying in directive leadership into that, and really letting the employees know what is expected from them. Because Anheuser-Busch, they have the money, they have the power to just say, all right, this is expected of you. You're not meeting our expectations. Out you go. Bring in the new guy. They have the power for this. On the other hand, the small guys, well, I think in that debate of managers versus leader, I think they're more of a leader. thinking about what they should be doing to become the bigger guys. What are they doing wrong? What can they do to make them do better? Very down to earth. Right now, they're simply trying to survive, paying off debts. Really, they have very clear goals of what they're doing. They want to do that. They don't want to have 100% of the market share. They want to have, let's just say, right there, 0.003. They want to get 0.004 of the market share. That's their really clear paths. They're using more of a supportive leadership type, and it's very friendly and approach kind of leadership that they're using with their employees, with their clients, and the shareholders, whatnot. And then you have a more of an ethical charisma compared to the others, and it's open to positive feedback. Since they're not necessarily doing as good as the bigger guys, they're very open to different feedback. All right, for control from the big guys, they're using more of a very strict normative and bureaucratic control. They are very, very controlling on the other companies. Whether it be finding old laws to shut the little companies down, using marketing tools to shut them down, to make the sales for them. And this is how they're really, really attacking the smaller companies, is in the form of control within the company and with their marketing strategies. They have such large amounts of money to deal with that they can pretty much decide exactly what path their company is going to take. Obviously, for these bigger companies, quantity comes before quality control. We talked about quality control in the test and the management a lot. Quality control is obviously there, but not as present as smaller companies. The quantity comes before. And in the movie, kind of a funny statement they make is Anheuser-Busch is waste. The waste they do every year is equivalent to Dogfish's annual production, which is ridiculous. And the control for the smaller guys, well, more of a conservative and behavior control. They are being controlled, pushed around by the bigger companies. It's unbelievable. They have very little say, and whenever something comes out, they get shut down. They get replaced by the bigger companies. They have very tight budgets, usually under debt since they have trouble paying off their stuff. Where they do excel is in the quality control. If they're only selling 100,000 barrels a year compared to 5 million barrels a year, well, those 100,000 barrels, you can be sure that they have very strict quality control on them. And waste control, especially, much tighter than the bigger companies because they can't afford to waste anything. So pretty much the big guys or the smaller guys, well, can kind of see where the differences are. It's not exactly the leadership and the control that differentiates them, maybe, but it's kind of in the marketing strategy and what people believe. But I hope that the smaller brewing companies will be able to find a marketplace for themselves and stop getting pushed around by the bigger companies. It is very difficult for the managers of the smaller companies, as well as the bigger companies, because they have to stay on top. They're simply using different tactics to kind of get different types of target market, different clients. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Here's my works citing. I got my work from Management Textbook and the movie Beer Wars.